lovemaking. I'm going to start as usual. I like to make it interactive. So please, anybody wants to jump in, anybody wants to talk. I don't like to just open my notes or just share my own experience. I like it if we all share experiences together. So let's start from there, really. What's the difference between sex and lovemaking? Sex and lovemaking, what's the difference? Anybody wants to help me? We could say sex is just an act of having sex, enjoying the physical interaction between a male and a female, or well, now we have different other type of sexuality. We have LGBT, we have lesbian, we have gay, we have different type. So it depends on who you are with. It's not limited to the male or the female gender anymore. So it's all about your relationship with your partner, having a physical interaction with your partner, having intimacy with your partner, that is sex. Now, so how do we now differentiate that with lovemaking? Difference between sex and lovemaking. What's the difference? Come on, people. Sex and lovemaking, what is the difference? Anybody wants to help me out? It is of a truth that it is possible, especially for men, to have sex with a woman and yet not be intimate with them, not be emotionally intimate with them, you know. But then, for women, I think it's different. Most women, well, we are all different genders. You know, we're all uniquely built. Our DNA is different. The way we see sexuality, the way we respond is quite different. But for majority of women, a woman cannot have sex. That's for majority now, not the minority. Majority of women cannot have sex without being emotionally involved with the person, without being emotionally interwoven with the person, without having feelings for the person. And that's where the difference comes in between sex and lovemaking. For men, it's easier. I'll say for the majority of men, not the minority. Majority of men can have sex easily with any woman without being emotionally involved with them. Because what attracts the men most is the physical attribute. If they see what they like, it motivates them. They do what they need to do, they're done with it, and they move on. It's only the minority that will be interested in bringing the emotions into it, bringing all the feelings into it. And that is where it becomes unique, it becomes different. And that is where it becomes something more beautiful, not just the physical action, if I may use the word. So that's the difference between lovemaking and sex, is the emotion that is attached to it. That is the difference. Now, when I look at the word sex itself, simple as it is, sex, what is my sex? They may ask, I'm a female. To other person, they could be a male. Now we have different sex orientations. Another person who is being born biologically as a female could decide, change their mind, or feel that they are more masculine for some reason and decide to be a male, even though they are biologically female. So we have all that. And when we talk about sex, we're talking about what you are biologically, the orientation you are biologically giving back to as a female or as a male. So that is on the side. We're not looking at the sexuality part of it. And that varies. When we look at the sexuality of it, varies. The way, good evening, my sister Arike. Thanks for joining. When we look at Olatunji Samson, thank you all for joining. Sister Kemi, Brother John, TY, thanks for joining. Let's share and get more people on board. And I don't think I can see Facebook. The faces I'm seeing on YouTube. I think this table will break today. Thank you, ma. Mommy Antonia, God bless you.
Amen.
Now, looking at sexuality again, it has to do with the way we dress, the way we carry ourselves, the way we do things. Says a lot about sexuality. For instance, you see a lot of female, I'm a little bit on that side, who will like to dress like a man, who do things like a man, their composture, you see it, and then they call most people like that tomboy. That's the word they use back home in Nigeria, where they say, she's a tomboy, because the way she carries herself, the way she talks, the way she relates with people, the way she sits down, the way she gets up, because for a feminine person, there are certain ways you behave, and that shows your feminine side of you. The way you sit down, you cross your leg, the way you talk gently, calmly, not your voice is low. You don't try to raise your voice above others. The way you eat, tells a lot about your sexuality. And also for the man, you see a lot of men, not men, minority actually, behave in certain ways. And definitely, I don't think he's a man biologically, but he behaves on sexuality is, gives you the vibe of a male, give you the vibe of a female. And that's why you'd be like, oh, is this person of a different orientation because of the way they behave, they walk from, when you see a man walking in a, I don't know, what's the word now? Twisting their body, lifting their hands in certain ways, flipping their hair, like being very feminine. You then begin to like, definitely, they could be biologically male, but his sexuality is that of a female. So we have all that, and we cannot deny that. That is here to stay, whether we like it or not. And these things have been from time memorial. It's just that because of culture, because what's the other word again now? I would say because of exposure, because exposure has caused a lot of problem for us anyway. But because people, I would say more of culture, decency, what would people say? People have this straight, but they hide it, they cover it, they don't want people to say, I'm a man. Why would anybody begin to see me as a woman? Why would I behave in certain way? I have to behave like a man. And a woman would not want to behave like tomboy and be called, you would not expect a lady to be jumping over a fence without the maybe running from danger or anything like that. It's not ladylike. You would not expect a lady to be eating on the street, on the road. It's not ladylike. You don't expect a lady to be the first person to stretch their hands, to want to have a handshake. Those little things tell a lot about your sexuality and your feminism. And when that is not, the people begin to think, oh, maybe she's this, or maybe he is that. But now there's more knowledge about that, there's more exposure about that, and that is here to stay. Now, bringing it into marriage, we have a lot of this going on even in marriage, and people are confused. People are confused, if I may use the word confused. We have people who are straight, and they are married to their partner, either wife or husband, but yet they are struggling in marriage because why? They are not having that connection that they believed or they thought they had. They have more attraction to the male or to the opposite sex or to the same gender, but yet they are married to the opposite sex. Yet they are married, and they begin to struggle. And with time, they begin to distance themselves from their partner. And that brings a lot of problem in marriage. So I think let me put a pause to that and start from. Let me bring a question in that. If in a marriage you find yourself married to somebody who is not sexually attracted to you, I don't know how you end up marrying in the first place anyway, but let's put that aside. When you're married and you're not sexually attracted, or the person not sexually attracted to you, you see them hiding, the dodging, they are more attracted to the male. You can tell, you can see the signs everywhere. And before we didn't really understand those things, and we just like, why is he behaving like that, or why is she behaving like that? Now we know better, we understand better, and you can easily tell. You can easily pick those things. The signs are there. You can easily differentiate, from the masculine attributes and the feminine attributes. So when you are married to such a person who is not sexually interested in you, but on the opposite sex, how do you handle such a dilemma? Because we have cases of people struggling with that, and hopefully we'll be able to find solution on this platform tonight. Anybody wants to help me?
Hello.
Sorry, wrong one. Sister Miriam, thanks for joining. Bola, thanks for joining. Mama Lee, thanks for joining. Jainaba, thanks for joining. Steve, thank you all for joining. Damilola, thanks for joining. How do we handle a case where you are married to somebody whose sexual orientation is different from yours? As a wife, probably your husband is interested in the opposite, in the same gender, or your wife is interested in the same gender. How do you manage this? Mommy Antonia, you are on table today. Let's begin to break the tables. Sister Kemi, let's break tables tonight. Hello. But Adamilola, what would you do if your wife, God forbid, it's too late for her anyway, is interested in the opposite sex? Oh my God,
that's a very difficult one, to be honest. I'm sure if we find ourselves in such a circumstance, obviously you would have noticed, because like you said earlier, that I don't know how you got there in the first place, because from the onset, when you are dating, you'll be able to see traces, because it's not something that usually it's not developed overnight.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So it couldn't be something that you discover after marriage. You would have seen signs, you have seen traces, you could have had things, because I'm sure people who are close to you might even be able to observe, even if you kind of like, okay, I'm in love, and you're blind to it. I'm sure you would be able to observe, and that is you walking into it blindly. You understand? So if you find yourself in such a situation or circumstance or relationship, it's best to sit down, communicate to each other. Okay, this is where we are at. This is where we find ourselves. What do we do moving forward? Are we still going to be together? Or who is going to jump out or jump ship You know, so but something needs to take place. You need to both sit down. It's true. Because if you as the woman, you are drawn to him, you know, physically, and he's not drawn to you, he's drawn to the opposite sex, what do? Because he
To the same
wouldn't have the
sex.
desire for you. He wouldn't have the desire for that closeness.
Mm.
You know, you can't fake it when it comes to emotional things. It's not something that you can fake, or you pretend that it's not there. It is there, because this is emotions we're talking about. It's either you have it or you don't have it. If you don't have it, then you sit down and talk about it, because there is something is going to give eventually.
Mm.
Because there is no way you can live the rest of your life under that circumstance. You have to sit down and talk and resolve it amicably, without any animosity, without any hatred for each other. You both went into it, you both knew, and then you find yourself, then it got to a stage where you are thinking, no, 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 I don't think I'll be able to handle it. Or some people will still go into it and hope, they hope that, oh well, once we're together, it's going to change. It won't be that way. No, no, no. We're talking of emotions. We're talking of emotions here. And emotions is so difficult to deal with. It's so difficult to change around. It's so difficult to get over. With to the point that you will not get frustrated. You don't want to leave it to a situation, to a place where it turns into hatred. Because after a while, when you keep demanding and you're not getting what you think you should get, it returns to hatred. It returns to argument. It returns to domestic violence. So there is more there is more negativities in it than positive. So it's best you observe with your eyes open before you get into it, and don't bother to do it, and let him be happy in whatever decision he makes. Yeah, because I can't imagine waking up every day and thinking there's someone next to me, or somebody that we used to be so intimate is next door, sleeping with the man, or with another male. Ooh, that's a difficult one.
Thank you very
So,
much.
but if that's the situation we find ourselves, we need to communicate, sit down. If you need to get counseling, get counseling, and everybody go their different. That's what I would do anyway. We need to part ways amicably, and that's it.
Thank you very much, ma. Thank you. Any other person wants to add to that? Suddenly realizing that your husband, let me not use the word partner, your husband or your wife is more interested in the same gender and not interested in you. How do you deal with that? How do you handle that? Anybody have different opinion from what Mommy Ayeni said? Okay.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, Brother John.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, I think let me come from this angle. Yeah, okay. I said let me come from this angle. I had a situation I'm trying to resolve because sometimes couples don't really, I mean, the issue of this sexuality, or somebody, you just wake up, you realize that your partner is into
The same
maybe male to male, female to female, and all this, same sex and all these things. From what I have noticed here in this part of Nigeria is that a lot of time is not really that they have intention, or they are into it deliberately, as that they have intention or they are in. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, not that they are into it intentionally, because I've had a situation whereby a lady was being starved, frustrated at all these things, and she always ran to her friends, and gradually she was introduced into that, and she started finding pleasure and satisfaction from that side. Just for the man to wake up suddenly and the man now realize that, look, this woman no longer have interest, rather the interest has shifted to a fellow woman. What do we do in that aspect?
And that was the cause of neglect.
Exactly, the cause of neglect. So sometimes here, back home here, a lot of time, cause of neglect shift, including our children, into that. Because when they are heartbroken or one thing or the other, who do they cry? Which shoulder do they cry on? Very, very important. Sometimes just a little touching, a little cuddling, a little touching, a little cuddling. Because I mean, okay, look at it. If a woman is heartbroken, it doesn't matter whether it's a relative or a brother, or a brother to the friend or a brother to the husband, and she runs to cry, and the person starts cuddling. If the woman is not a disciplined and self-controlled woman, even though she is, by the time there is a cuddling, trying to, always discuss, before you know it, there's this thing that start developing. And if care is not taken, something can go wrong at that particular time. So these are the things. That's why I say, let me come from this angle. Sometimes it's not really that you saw those things. Those things might not be there. But the couples are actually the one that created what was never there in the first place.
In the first place.
By both of them. So sometimes it might also draw the man to a fellow man. It happens. I've seen it happen. You now discover that the man is tilting towards another fellow man. Not that he wants to, but situation and everything pull him towards that.
From what you said, it makes sense. But at the same time, I believe if you do not have the roots of okra in you, you can never grow out to be an okra. If you do,
but one thing you should understand that. But one thing you should understand that every human being have intention of being a criminal, but self-control separates us.
Yes, that's a different one. We're talking about emotions here. We're talking about emotions here,
Because there's this. Yeah. Of course. The emotion still rules you by saying, don't do this. Between good and bad. Sometimes there's this thing because of the pressure. You just have to do it. You believe that you get this thing done and you get away from it. By the time you are in. You get stuck with it.
Now, there's this one I'm going to bring in before we go back into married couples while we are on different sexual orientation. Now, we have people who have been given birth to naturally. Their sexuality is of both male and female reproductive organ. How do they live their life? They struggle to choose which identity they're going to be. Now, some of them, their parents might be able to help them when they are younger and decide to have a surgical operation, closing one and leaving the other. But peradventure, the one they close is not what their orientation is naturally. And then they grow up having feelings towards the same gender, which they believe they are. But their reproductive organ has been destroyed. Or it could be that both, I've seen was a footballer back home, a female footballer who had both reproductive organ. The way she behaves, the way she does everything is masculine. But she's got breast and she has both reproductive organ. Now, do we blame nature? Do we blame God? What do we blame? How would such a person handle themselves? How do they go about choosing who I want to be? Do I want to be a man? No, because now they have choice. For somebody like me, I don't have a choice. I'm a woman, end of story. But somebody like that have both. How do they decide what I want to be? Anybody wants to help me out with this confusion?
Well, as for me, to start with, I'm not going to blame. Yeah. To me, I wouldn't blame God in the first place, because God created all, both good and bad. I'm not going to be blaming God, but I pray for such not to come close to me. And peradventure, if it happens, I think what we actually owe them is what we owe them is love. Because I mean, we give birth to them, we can't throw them away. Rather, we just find a way and still show them equal love, just like every other person, and see if we can use love to bring them out, to as in really redirect them, despite what they are feeling. But let's just see how, because the strength of love is so strong. The strength of love is so strong. Even when everyone has rejected them, I mean, we give back to them. We can't throw them away. That's the thing, because God created all. I mean, it's from God. All gifts is from God. So there's nothing we can do. You understand?
Oh, thank you for joining, brother Pastor Bimbo. God bless you. Sister Arik, welcome back.
Yeah. So while we're praying for touch of God upon their life, we equally need to back our prayer with love, because that love is actually the strength we need to redirect them. Is important. Yes.
Thank you very much. Pastor Bimbo, I don't know when you joined. I'm looking at children who've been given birth to with both sexual organ. And how do they struggle, or how do they manage the dual sexual organ they have? How do we help them? How do they decide what they want to be? Do I want to be a male? Do I want to be a female? And how can we? And then that there's also the issue of the stigma that comes with this. How do we play around this? Pastor Bimbo, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, sir. Did you hear my question?
I didn't hear. The network is
It's playing up.
Really good. Yeah. Good evening,
Okay, I was talking about.
Please, you can repeat the question, ma'am.
Yeah, I was saying, how do we help or understand people who've been given birth to with dual sexual organs? They have both male and female sexual organ. How will they identify what their sexuality is? And if they want to be a male or if they want to be a female, do the parents need to help them when they are young? There's the possibility of the parent making mistakes in helping them to decide what their sexual orientation is. How do they go about in the society, the stigma and the shame that comes with it? How do they decide? How do they go about it?
Anyway, it's a very good question. Good evening, everyone, all the listeners and viewers over there, out there. Sorry, I'm coming in a bit late. What I would say about that is, can you hear me, please?
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. So what I would say about that is, in the real fact of this, one, I heard that person that finished speaking now talking about God. That I don't know if there's medical reasons, if there are medical factors to the formulation of the creation of such children. But what I know is that it is God that made them that way, apart from the medical
aspect of it.
Of it. God made them that way. So the only thing is that as parents, it has happened. It has happened. We have read a few people who are victims of this. What you're saying, like they call them hermaphrodite. I don't know if I'm correct. If they are the one they call hermaphrodite. You see, in this kind of situation, the parent needs to work hard because even the effect it will have on the parents is very huge. The psychological effect, the emotional effect it will have on the parents is very huge. So growing up, if they don't want to make decision perhaps to go for surgery to mitigate this kind of event occurrence, to which one should they go for? They may look at the possibility of the where the female swing has such a child if she's predominantly having characteristics of a man or of a woman, so they know if they have to operate them by surgery, they will know which one to remove. And if it's the one that they don't want to remove, it takes the grace of God for such a human being, such personality to live a normal life, because people around them will find it abnormal. Even they themselves will not be free talking to people. They will now go, if it's the one that is predominantly or the characteristics of a man, that has the characteristics of a man and eventually want to get married. So what will they now tell such a wife? So what I think there is that it takes God's intervention, it takes the parents' intervention too. If they cannot mitigate to contain that thing from when they were a child, by the time they grew up, they will be left alone to themselves. So what I look at it is that such incidents, such occurrence is sensitive, and it's only God that can actually give us a 90% of comfort or satisfaction of a living about that. If a child is born with both sexual organs and they grow up, the parent looking at them, if they are the ones that are average living personality, average living family that cannot afford to go on a surgery, the only thing is just to start advising the child while they are still young that this is how God made you. It has happened to like that. They encourage them so they don't let them feel less of a human being among their colleagues, among their friends in the society. So they themselves, by the time they come out, they can be both of it that that's the way God made them. Because they can, of course, a parent will not tell them that we don't know, this is how we found it, to I'm ashamed of myself, or such a child can commit suicide. They can do anything that the thing to that is that the parents have a lot of work to do by encouraging them, telling them, educating them on how it has happened, that theirs is not the first one, theirs is not the first to happen. They encourage them, then God gives them the money to go on the surgery. I'm not actually really competent in that sector, so I wouldn't know, because I only heard people it has happened to. There is a lady on TikTok that is going viral, and she's a content creator that has both organs, and I think she's doing well, but she's more feminine. I mean, she's more masculine than a woman. So I think she has a wife or a girlfriend. She has a child now, but as it is, she has both these things. So, and some of them that are victims of this kind of occurrence, you see what they do is that they make use of the both organ bots. It's such a Herculean task. It's such a very sensitive issue, but we just have to make contribution. Let them know that God is God. God is God. He does everything the way He wants. He said, I am God in the book of Isaiah 45, verse 5 to 8. He said, I am the Lord, I created light, I created darkness. He said, I made peace and I made evil. So it's God has made all this things. God bless you.
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful submission. And it's called hermaphrodite. You're right, sir. That's the word for them. Hermaphrodites. Now, the word is there. These people are there. Do we say, or I'm just assuming now, could it be one of the reasons why or where all these different sexual orientation started coming from, because we have a lot of them amongst us, you know. If you are not close to them, or if they don't really come out to talk about it, you won't know. The reason is that when people decide, okay, since I have both, then I can as well be bisexual. I don't have to be heterosexual. I mean, like we all agree that God made them that way. We all agree God designed them that way. We can call it whatever medical error or whatever, but God allowed it. The reason is that where all these bisexualities came from, or they are two different things entirely. Anyone wants to help me with that? Anybody at all? Facebook, Zoom? Yeah, go on, sir.
To make contribution, let them go.
Anybody wants to help me with that? Big Chief, welcome. Good evening. Sister Christine, God bless you. Thanks for joining. Dedicated Nifi, thanks for joining. Inema Wariwato, thanks for joining. Arike Jesu, thank you all for joining. Mommy was able to join again this night. Mommy Elbert said, God bless you, plentiful. God bless you, ma. How do we handle hermaphrodite? We're still on that. And I was saying, is that where bisexuality started from? Because they have both organs. Anybody wants to help me with that? My thoughts from one corner of my head. Glorious Paul, thanks for joining. Nobody's helping me. Oh. Because from what Pastor Bimbo said, that most of them, if they were not able to operate on them while they are young.
What you have talked, are you done? Can you hear me?
Go on, sir.
Okay. The topic you raised tonight is such a sensitive one. It's very deep. You see, I don't actually want to believe that bisexual emanated from hermaphrodite or something. If you look at it, I don't know, maybe because I'm a minister of God. If you see these things about bisexual, there are things that are signs of the end time that Jesus has said that when the end time comes, we shall see all sorts of things we have not seen before. You see, man will be making love with their fellow men and even women. So I want to believe that hermaphrodite is not the genesis of bisexual. Bisexual is just a sign to me. You know, we have different people with different religion on the platform. I want to speak from the angle of a Christian that Jesus has said that when his disciple came to him to tell us what is going to be the sign of the end time and your second coming, and he said, you should beware for you not to be deceived by three people because so many prophets will come. And when he forged ahead, he was talking about all these things. And when Paul, apostle, came, in one of his books to the Romans, we told that in the book of Romans chapter 1, verse 18 downward, he said, men will leave the law to opposite sex and they will follow their fellow human being to do which is not right in the sight of God. So I did not actually say, because these hermaphrodites they are not taking any larger quantity or larger percentage of
bisexuality that we have today.
They are just very few that we have. So to my own knowledge, I did not actually think that hermaphrodite is the cause, or that bisexual emanated from the tendencies of hermaphrodite.
Thank you very much. While you were on that, I did a bit of search on the origin of bisexuality, and something popped up. It says our research officer, Martha Robinson Rhodes, who was a PhD in biohistory, explains in 1859, anatomist Robert Bentley Todd first used the term bisexuality to refer to the possession of male and female physical characteristics in the same body. Today, we might understand this as being intersex. So medically, bisexuality term was used for people who have both organs. But then I think it's now sprung and expanded into something else entirely. So we'll leave that at that since we are not doing biology class tonight. So let's leave that as that, except anybody else wants to comment on that before we move on. Thank you all for joining. And please let us like, let us share. And let us also give gifts, allow some flowers, you know. I would love if you send me some flowers on TikTok. Thank you all. Bless you. Okay, let's go back into marriage. And I have 1 or 2 questions. We looked at sexuality, sex, the difference between sex and making love and all that. Now, before I actually move on, let me bring another scenario. And this is the scenario of a man and woman who are couples. Actually, let me rephrase that. I do not know why, and I do not understand why we have a lot of marriages today. I read a lot on social media, and I've had a couple of complaints directed to me myself, where we have a lot of couples who are married, and for years they've not been sexually with their husband. Some will be saying, 5 years I've not been sexually with my husband, 10 years I've not been sexually with my husband. What is going on? And let's find out what is going on first, and then we look like what is the way out, what is the solution, because definitely something is wrong. Anyone at all?
In this context, Mark, can you reframe? Now bring it out as a question. Don't bring it out from what happened, from what you read. I want you to reframe it now as a question.
Why do we have women in marriage for years who are not being sexually satisfied, and yet they are married and they stay married?
Okay. Now, I will still ask another question. If you are saying we are not sexually satisfied, in what aspect? Does it mean that
there is no sex at all? No sex at all for years. 5 years, 10 years, 8 years, 15 years. No sex at all.
I don't know. I think they will be in a position to answer that question, because one of the reasons, important reasons why a man and a woman will come together as husband and wife, as a couple, is for reproduction. So if a couple now decides, that's why I said it could only be the persons that can answer this question, because for them to have stayed 5 years, 10 years, you know, they just decided not to touch each other. So the answer could be properly answered by them.
But Pastor Bibo, you've already answered one of the questions for what you've just said now, and which is very unfair, and which is one of the problems we are having now. You said one of the main reasons for a man and woman to be married is to have children. Now, if a lot of people now believe as to be what I said be, so I don't need to be sexually involved with you anymore. What if that's one of the problem, and that's the mentality? At be made, so I don't have to come near you anymore because we already have children. So that is a very, very wrong mentality to start with.
There is a foul play between. There is a foul play in that context. And what you have just said now, there is a foul play. It's not possible for them, two of them, to just abstain from sex. If they could only abstain from sex between themselves, then they may be satisfying themselves outside. It's not possible to communicate because we have 2 children, we have 3 kids now. That's the extent we want to go. Therefore, when there are medical, how do I call it? Medical measures to put in place to prevent pregnancy. There are different rules there. So why will a man and a husband now decide there's a foul play there? Would they stand us now our next day? Would they be able to come out to say that since they've abstained from each other, they've not had sex outside their marriage? It's no. 5, 10 years, not just even like I'm not going to lodge now.
They're coming down. They're coming down. They're coming down. Do you have cold water there?
It's not possible for them 5, 10 years. They may have sex between 2 of them, but they'll be satisfied. They'll be getting it somewhere.
Now, there's this other school of thought. I'm jumping in and out. There's another school of thought on where you stopped now. Mas, Alika?
Question you asked last time.
Yes.
I've seen something of such. After giving birth, the woman might not have the feeling again. But you know, they pay over for like more than 2 years. She lost the feelings and all that. Kilofa, what's what's the point? And all that.
Oh, wow.
Situation then, what should the woman do? Because you don't show but prophet only my job. You should go not low like sex love then sex. You know, for reproductive, what is being got over because so why is sex all the time? You only might feel like thank you.
Thank you very much, Alika. Now, I'm going to throw this to you, Pastor Bimbo, and to all ministers who are probably listening to me. When we are preaching and ministering to people, sometimes we do a lot of damage to the mental health. And from what you said, it is not just for reproduction. A man and a woman are together to have sex for reproduction and for pleasure. Let us not be minusing that. Let us continuously be adding that pleasure to it. Because a lot of people have programmed that in their head that it's just so I see being and I don't really like this thing anyway, so I don't want to do it. And you've just had the confirmation from Sister Arike now. So we need to actually be careful about that. Let me read a comment from Zoom. Sister Tessa, it's not possible for them to stay apart from each other for 5 years. They are getting it outside our bed. Now, on that note, mostly it is the women that come out to lament and complain. My husband has not touched me for so years. So we can assume, I use the word assume, that 95% of the men are enjoying themselves outside. And there's another misconception that is very annoying to me personally, when a lot of people would say the man, they cannot, they don't have that much self-control, they cannot be without a woman, but the woman can, or the woman should. The women are expected to have more self-control as though there is no blood or no water in their vein.
Yeah. Hello, good evening, everyone.
Yeah, Brother John.
Okay. Okay. Let me come from this angle. I think sometimes, if not for medical reason, most of the time you see a woman, the moment he has a child, he stop. She feel like stopping and everything because number one, what was the motive of the sex in the first place? Because some men marry simply because they want a child. So some men, ever since they got married to their wife, they've never made love to their wife. They only had sex with their wife. So their wife has never gotten
so there is no emotion
satisfactory. Exactly. From day one, they just see her as just the moment the man just comes, and that is it. The question is this: Is the woman satisfied about it? You just come, you just no kissing, no romance, no touchy, no foreplay, nothing. You just, I mean, the woman's organs is not even right. You force yourself, she's not even wet, you force yourself. 1, 2, you come, you satisfy yourself, you are just targeting, she's pregnant, she give birth. I mean, the woman mental, this will just, okay, now pick you want, I've given you child now, so what else? Why should I be getting that done and all this? So this thing is not connected to that. So you see, by the time she give birth, she's connected to the child. So that relationship, that intimacy was never there before she got pregnant. So don't forget, while she's pregnant for 9 months, she has another intimacy. She's now being intimacy with the baby, with the struggling of pregnancy. So that has already put both of you apart. By the time she give birth to that child, she have another 1 year to nurture that child. That's another separation.
So
you understand? Because the intimacy was never there in the intimacy was never there in the first day. So there is no way it will be difficult for her to get back to you. She can only be attracted to someone who touches her where she feels. Because from day one, her husband does not even know her trigger point, where turns her on. It's just all about open leg, I go in, I go out, and all this thing. I mean, obviously, she wouldn't do that. So a lot of us men were actually, will I say, 80% of the cause of this problem. We are selfish in terms of that. Because sometimes, in order for us to get our satisfaction, we go out, we make love with other girls, but when we come home, we have sex with our partner. So that, because women, there's a way they reason. There's this excitement of honeymoon. Some women, on the first day of their honeymoon, they never made love, they have sex. And they say, well, let's just say because all of us are tired, they continue like that. So they never have the pleasure.
That
Exactly. You understand? So when they hear other women talk about it, and I mean, the whole thing is just somehow, how their first night, how they are. So when they hear it, I mean, it becomes like a demonic word to them. So and that keep building hatred towards their man because they've not reached orgasm, they've not gotten that. There are some women from the day they got married to their wife now, they have never.
The live will end. They said there's no activity. Can we like, share, or something before they cut me off on TikTok, please? Let's comment, let's do something.
Okay, like there are some women since the day they married they've never reached orgasm for once.
Like the type you like them.
Sorry, Brother John.
Why people are liking? Let me quickly clear something. When I said one of the major reasons, I didn't say the reason why God created men and women. I said one of the major reasons is reproduction, because when the Bible says that you should multiply
and replenish.
There is prayer, like the last speaker that just finished speaking. You see, let me tell you something. This thing is this program starts from the scratch, from eighth grade, when the couple meets each other, when they are courting, when they just knew each other. It depends on the background. Let me give you an example. If a brother and a sister that quote and unquote meet each other from the church, and it is a church where there is this what I call over righteousness or over holy, and where you ask that those people are actually preaching. Most times we do not even do what we are preaching. We are just preaching for people to say that that pastor is a very partial man. What they do might be terrible. I didn't say it's terrible, might be worse. But so therefore, from the scratch, when the couple, when they meet each other, it depends on what they get to know. I could remember vividly when I was in the choir. There were these couple that wanted to get married. And the evangelist, CSC bridge, The evangelist in our church called the lady. He said, "Sister, and make sure we have produced your wedding. You, and my evangelist is a disciplined person. A woman telling the lady, make sure you
are pregnant before wedding.
Before this wedding. I want you to have pregnant before this wedding. The lady now that why? He said, I know why. That there's every spiritual plans. If you don't have this pregnancy before wedding, you may not even have pregnancy after your wedding. The Bible says marriage should be honorable and the bed undefiled. Yes, exactly. But see, when you do not actually know, like one last speaker, I want to elaborate on what she said. When you do not even know what sex is all about, there's no sex education. You don't even know. Like a person who knows what sex is all about will know that there's difference between sex and love making. You can just pounce on a woman, just let you can go. You can make love without even having sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So it depends on what you do. It depends on the kind of love that exists between two of you. And it depends on the kind of exposure. Now, like that man said, if I'm not a French man who is mature, who is exposed before he got married, he knows the mature, is exposed, is learned, he knows that marriage is not all about reproduction. Start giving birth to one or two or three, the number of children you want to have, you can put a stop to it. You can go by applying any of the family planning and all that. Then you keep enjoying yourself. It depends on the kind of orientation you have, even before the marriage. It depends on the kind of woman you see. We are just saying there are men that mistakenly marry a woman that is not romantic. Not in the name of women that serve themselves. She came from, because the parents have told her that any this thing, what you have to do is this, any other thing is perfect.
So we all agree that it has a lot to do with culture and orientation.
It depends on what they teach you. The kind of is playing around your parents or the father who is here and there and takes him out to tell him that that lady is beautiful. Mama too funny, don't bring it and all that. And all of a sudden, by the time you get, you see the lady want to marry. If the lady wants to marry is a churchy, the one that sleep and die and wake up in the church. That if you tell that when you kiss, you say, no, kissing is a thing and all that. So a person who is telling you kissing is a thing even before the marriage. By the time you get to the house when she's finally married, we never see kissing at a point. As one of the event or as one of the features.
The way you show express love to each other and affection.
So you want to believe that those things are not really the middle one. Something I want to say, with you, but all this the way you handle things at times. How would you say that? Because it's not possible. We have settled that, we have answered that in the beginning. That any person, any family comes up to say that
how are you?
From sex between each other, we are getting it somewhere here. What we should now find, what we should look into is the cause of that problem. And one of the causes is what I just said. The beginning,
there was no connection right from the beginning.
The courtship, they started how they met each other, the orientation they got or they came to each other, how they can see it. If there is love, if there is affection, there could be romance, and there will be sex along the line. And some of you know there are things, there is a level you get to a woman, but still we have the urge. The touching, and all that, we shouldn't be saying all that online. We are all mature that are here. But what we're saying is
romance.
A woman will have that urge to go into sex. And when those things are not there, and you just come, there are some women that see sex as, as a painful exercise.
Yeah, very true.
And over the whole, because of the fact that
Hmm.
tomorrow they are making their parents, one would have traveled to Abuja, they don't see each other once in a while they come. So that's what the children grew up to see to study. And by the time they get married, if they don't want to touch them every day, they say, I know it's not every day to know. Even my daddy will go. 1 month without touch my daddy. That's the kind of thing they invite or they inculcate from their parents. Another one is for the man. If you don't marry a woman, before you get married to a woman, if you really genuinely love her, you should give her some. It's like a negotiation. You put your hand on the table. This is how it goes. This is how it's being played. And when you see that, you see any sign of maybe overall thing from that woman, and you don't want to trust, you don't want to have a broken home, or you don't want to end up marrying 2, 3 wives, you should. It's either you need such a woman, you go for the one that is your pet. And for the women, you are the type that you're not romantic. They will tell you that it doesn't want to make love to you. If you're not romantic, if you're not beautiful, if you're not dressing well, if you wear one graph on your 2 weeks and you watch them, you are able to settle down, you do get there, you have to speak with you, see that, the kind of old that is coming from your hand alone. The man will tell you, if you have a mouth of them, you have every year older. The man will tell you that he's not making that. He will even tell you that they give you a message from the church that they should not make love in the sanctuary. So through a woman,
Oh my goodness.
you could be attracted to your husband at every point in time.
Very important.
So, right, you will make a comparison that one of the differences is that you will woman of God.
Very important.
The way we handle husband, the way we handle women, there are women that even in their houses, you want to walk around, the husband will be looking at it, even if you don't want to do, and then you will do. Don't let me talk about God bless you.
Amen. God bless you, Pastor. Thank you, Desmond, for the gift. She's giving me 2 roses. God bless you. I'm waiting. Méjì la ṣe nígbà o. Ẹnu gift wa ẹ̀bùn dáa ó dára púpọ̀. Okay, where are we? You said something. There's all. We can never finish this. It's really, really big. Reasons why these things might happen in marriage. We know we could. I think it all, but from all we've been saying so far, it all boils down to the foundation. It all boils down to where are we coming from. It comes to, do I actually love this person? And you used one word, spec. A lot of people get married to people that are not their spec. There was one my husband was saying to me about a friend of his who got married. And he's like, I don't think that marriage will last. I said, why? He said, because the person she married is not her spec. She likes only tall men. She does not date short men. She has never, and she says she can never in her life date short men. Suddenly she's married to a short man. And then my husband is 100% sure, this woman will cheat because she did not marry her spec. So that is also very important. Another thing again we've mentioned that is very important is children. Children, if it's not well managed, bring a lot of gap between couples. I think it was a pastor was doing an illustration yesterday who said we should not keep our children in middle. Couples come together and then you join together as husband and wife. When the children start coming in, don't let the children come in between you and then separate you. Because after a while, the children will go their way and you'll be left. But because you've allowed the children to stay in between for so long, your children should be by your side. You're holding one day, your husband is holding one, and you are taking them all along. But when they're in between, the wife is concentrating on one child, and then the husband is concentrating on the other child. And the two of you, there is a big gap left. And when the children leave, that gap is still there. And
I think, yeah. And I think when you talk about the gap, where that gap usually starts from is when a woman gives birth. Some men don't stand, they can't even stand the cry of a baby. They abandon the room for the woman. The moment you start about, because I can't remember all the children my wife had. I can't remember me sleeping outside, as in a separate bed. I always sleep on the same bed, and I would say put the child on another bed or put the child one corner. But me and you, our body must touch together. It's important, because the moment we start saying, "Oh, let us stay with the baby and everything," that is where they separate. That's the first stage of separation, because she's going to nurture that baby for the next 6-7 months. The separation will come. Because once both of you are together at night, no how, she's still breastfeeding, touching, commercially, anyhow. You understand? But when both of you are not sleeping together because she's nurturing the baby, you can stay 6 months without feeling anything.
That's
where it starts from. That's very dangerous. You understand? That's where it starts from. Because the body is not touching the body any longer. So it's always good, even when she put to bed, stay with her. Instead, get somebody and let the baby stay. That's why there's the baby bed.
Baby bed, baby basket, whatever.
Exactly.
Room.
So let the body keep touching together is important. As long as there is body contact, something will definitely happen. You can't. There's no way you stay within that.
Now, Brother John, different stages of upbringing. Now, let's jump away from the baby side. The baby is growing up. Even for as long as your children are with you, even to the point of 18, 23, 25 years old, it has to be managed every stage. Now, you're not saying abandon your children, but don't let them ever come between you and your wife or between you and your husband.
No. You see, the only time my children sleep in my room is when I'm not around.
No, it's not even just sleeping.
No, I'm coming. I know.
Communication, everything.
Yes, I know. I'm just trying to let you know the step where it starts from. I don't allow them come between, because my wife is my wife. Because they will all come. Because before they came, it is only 2 of us, and all of them, they will all leave, and leaving only 2 of us. So I try to make sure. You see, my worry is, as we are getting old now, as we are growing now, we need to be more intimate, because these children very soon now, all of them will marry, and they will leave both of us. So if we don't, because that's what we'll be struggling is to make sure that we remain true together, no matter what. So that any of them that will put to bed, if you say, come and do a mogo, my wife will say, I cannot leave my husband. Oh yeah, bring your baby, come to my house, let me do the omogo here. That's the kind of thing I'm looking at. Very, very important too. Because when you get old, they will not agree to leave their own family, their own husband, or their own wife.
They will not come and stay with you. For what reason?
That is it. So that is why I said the whole thing should start from the first birth. How you start from the separation. To avoid that separation, never you allow your children to sleep in the same bed with you. Most especially, what parents do is that when the baby comes, the baby will stay at the middle, the man at the other end, the woman at the other end, while the baby at the middle. They say, we are looking after the baby. So the baby will start separating both of you. A day will come, the man will get up and the man will leave. You see that for the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, there is no body contact. So how can the fire start when there's no body contact? So it keeps growing like that. And by the time they leave, you guys have stayed 10 years, 20 years separate. So coming back together, you are just like, you are not looking at one another as maybe this is my husband, but so that's why it's like a foreigner to me.
Yes. So when the issue of omogo comes in, the woman will jump at it like it's like escape routes. But just run away suddenly like that.
Exactly.
Anybody wants to add to that before I jump to something else? Because we can't finish, so we're going to be jumping and jumping. So we've come to acknowledge children could be one of the reasons. Actually, let's finish this one. And orientation could be another thing. Then there's something I want to bring out here. When we talk about romance and the word romance, being romantic, somebody asked me this question once. How can you be romantic or show romantic to your partner or whatever the word was? It's not only about touching. It's not about touching for every woman. For another woman, the fact that maybe she's in the kitchen, you came to assist her, that turns her on already. The assistance, the help you give already turns her on, makes her happy, makes her excited. For another person, it could be the way you ate her food, and she can see that you really enjoyed her food, you were appreciative of the food. That already sets her in a certain happy mood. For another person, it could be gifts. So it could be different things. So we should always talk. That's another problem. Talking is a problem for a lot of couples. You should be able to talk and ask, what turns you on as a husband? What turns you on as a wife? What can I do to put you in the mood? Sister Oge, thanks for joining, ma. You know, let's be able to communicate. What turns you on? What is it that I can do that turns you on? It's very, very, very important in marriage. You should be able to communicate. Big Chief. Okay, let's note him. Yes, thank you very much. Sister Oge, do you want to say something?
Yes, ma. Sorry for the disturbance.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You wanted to come in?
Yeah, I've listened for a little bit. My views might be different. We are talking about these things in a plain, straight line. I don't think it's a straight line. The way the world is, you could see people don't connect, because if you like somebody, I heard when you say you just be talking, be explaining. If you're explaining too much, it means you're not connected. Your mouth is the least form of communication. Your body, your spirit will connect. It's just like when they say speaking in tongues is the least of all the gifts, and we all want to speak in tongues. Why don't we think about healing and other things? The way it is that two people get married and they've been meeting other people. Your spirit is connected to other people, so your spirit is struggling to connect with themselves. Is that you see what I mean? Okay. It is a funny way it is, the way the human body is wired, and the way culture has kept us too. The man you like might not see you worthy. The man that sees you worthy, you don't like too much, but you have to marry because you've come to a certain age. You find out that your body cannot be open completely to that man compared to the one you like. But the one you like doesn't see you as anything. So now there are compromises that should be made. For men, it's a physical thing. If he finds peace, he might misbehave here and there, but he will still be drawn to you, kind of. But for a woman, it's more like it goes to this. Imagine your whole life, your mother is telling you close your leg, wear long dress, close your body. Now you're opening the body up to another person. So it means your inside must be convinced. But if you're not connected to that man, no matter what the man do, you will not be connected. No matter what he does. So all these things we are saying, we're just trying to say it in the nice way. People meet for 10 years and not sleeping. How can you see the person you love and you sleep on the same bed and your body will not react? Then you have to start questioning that love also. If we know what love is, quote and unquote. So I'll leave it at that. Power not in my body.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Desmond. Thanks for all the like. Please, let's keep liking so that the TikTok doesn't shut us down. I'm going to ask a question. I think I have the question down here. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, Sister Kane.
Sir.
You know, I love what Big Chief just said now. You know what Big Chief said, you just reminded me about, at least about my relationship with my wife.
Yes, yes.
You know, my wife was never the person I would have loved to marry. You remember? Marrying her was like a compromise. I mean, I just have to get married. And you remember that everybody in the house was able to tell me, look, they see your wife, you go there, somebody else will take your wife.
So,
you know, I was pursuing one particular lady and everything. That was where all my heart, everything was. But the thing is, will I not say, because, you know, that's, you know, everybody wired in different ways. But I mean, if I can do this compromise, that's okay, fine. Let me give this a trial. We'll start a relationship and everything. We'll keep going, even while my eyes was still on the other one. But a time came, I mean, I just have to like, oh, come on. I just have to make this work. You know, what Big Chief just said to me, just remember, that's why I just say, yes. You know, sometimes the one you marry, the one you like is not the one you marry and all this thing. Yeah, it happens to me. But I mean, I didn't say because of that, let me not dwell in that. I mean, of course, I'm inside it. I mean,
but
exactly. I mean,
everybody cannot be like you. You're able to
exactly, of course.
And exactly. You know, and yes, for a lot of people, it's not work like that.
Thank you, sir. As a matured person, it's a decision. That particular one that you're looking at, that you want to kill yourself, if you're near her, she must have killed you by now. So it's true. When you get mature to a particular part, it's compromise. Just like I heard you guys saying, if you don't touch somebody for 10 years and the rest. Solomon had 1,000. Even if he's doing one per day, it won't go around for 1 year. What will happen to the other people? You know, so sometimes
what makes you think those other people too are not being helped somewhere?
You can't, in those days, men, you think it is these people that will just say, I'm angry, I want to go and do something. In those days, men, your head will go. In short, Solomon's brother only imagined he wants to touch not sleep with the woman, marry the woman that his father did not sleep with. He died that same evening. They killed him. They don't play.
So he is the one they catch, the one where they don't catch. You have how many hundreds of wives and concubines? Of course, some of them will be helped, maybe not all. Can I ask this question? How should you ask your partner for sex? Because now, the funny thing is this, you would think it is a woman. Big Chief, hold on. I've gone to something else. I said, how should you ask your partner for sex? You will think it's only women that have this problem. They don't know how to go about it and say, okay, honey, I want us to be intimate tonight. But we have a lot of men that also have it. So how do we close this bridge?
I've said it again. If you are when you are young and you truly fall in love, quote and unquote, your father will beat you, your uncles will target you, your mother will lock you inside the house, you still find a way to escape to that person you claim you love. Now you're inside the same space with that person you love and you're not connecting. Something is wrong. You would steal your father's money, the source of your security, and take to the boy or the girl outside. But now you're inside the house with the person, nothing is happening. Then there is something that is not adding up. You see what I mean? So most times we tend and we snap pictures and some people dated. I know a couple of my friends, the woman they prepared for the do introduction, the woman saw another person that have money, she run to that one that have money, then he has to compromise somehow and marry, and that's happening. Then you have to wire your head again. And man cannot pretend, he cannot pretend erection. Woman can pretend that have feeling for you. So it's another war altogether. You cannot fake that thing. The thing doesn't stand up fake mistakenly. So it's a different thing. So it's compromise and maturity and sit down and take decisions and say, this is the decision I've taken. I will protect this woman. I will protect these children. I will cover this house. Then what they don't train, I don't know about, I've never been a woman before, I don't know if I reincarnated, but I've never been a woman before. But I know that as a man, they don't train you about insubordination. Your children might even be arguing with you, but you have to sponsor them anyway. That one is another level altogether. It's another level altogether. When I think about my relationship with my father, I'll be like, I've been the mess up, but this guy be tolerate me. Because I'm a man now, a grown man. That is how now because the guy will give you school fees and everything, you still argue with him and you still have some pali with your mother somewhere. And now I know that the man knows, and how was he processing it, and how does he still produce love from his inside for me that is a rebellious son? That's how men do. So for the men that think that the woman will be perfect, you're joking. She's
if only, like you said, that the relationship between a father and a child, or a mother, a parent and their children, if only that could be extended in marriage, it will save a lot of problems. When you feel,
mommy, no try.
Mommy,
no try. No extend that.
Why can't you
no try?
Why
no try.
you
That is a different thing altogether. The husband and the wife, they have different backgrounds, different expectations, different voices in their heads and everything. Now these days we have social media, so the voices in their head. That's why they see the videos marriage. You want to be like that, and some people say, "Oh, they don't have children from other people." And
then
the scripture. Let's bring it down to the scripture. Let's bring it down to the scripture. The scripture said, "Man, love your wife." Yeah, and woman, respect your husband. Now, what they don't talk about is that you cannot respect who you don't love. So they added something on the woman's own, because God knows it's God that created the human machine knows that a man can just go out and sleep with 10 women. He doesn't care. It's physical for him. So to love is not a simple thing for a man. And God also, who made those laws, or those this inspiration of the Lord, they write the Bible as we will take it, knows that the rebellious nature in a woman is another level. So he now puts that condition on you, the respect. If you're respecting naturally, yeah, they will not tell you respect. And if a man loves naturally, they will not tell him love. I cannot come here and say, I'm a man, no, when you're seeing that I'm a man. It's something that we don't do naturally. So they put that small...
As a commandment.
Yes, so we can consciously now take it up. Because a man can switch off like this.
Okay, so now we understand the fact that there's a problem where you have a communication problem on how to express yourself between each other. Now, yeah, there's a foundational problem. So, but how do we cross that bridge? How do we cross that bridge?
Therapy. And do we have to do like our ancestors?
How did our ancestors do? Hello? The network is playing up.
Women are influencing the old women now and telling the older women that, oh, you don't enjoy. If it's me, I will not take this. It's me, I will not take this. So I can't believe you took this. So the older women are feeling that they've been cheated. They did not enjoy it, not knowing that they are supposed to be the ones that should direct the younger ones. Same as the men. For the man's side, it's hard for the man to talk, because if the men talk, their sons will not even get married. So their genealogy stops. So your father always keeps quiet. So as if nothing is happening.
You are confusing me. That is not the question I asked.
I'm telling you, so it's therapy.
Apart from therapy, it's not everybody that will go through therapy.
Therapy doesn't mean
now for sex. You're feeling whatever on there, whatever, and then how do you
Yeah, Ekene, you see, my people say that one animal be dia na mapa no be a dinner na bed. Simply means that a woman that knows the husband's heart in those days will always tie wrapper, and he will not tie the wrapper very much, so that once she turn and the husband just touch her, she's ever ready for the main job. Now that is during our forefathers. When a woman needs that, she does not need to tie her wrapper very well. The way she tie when she's going to the market is different from the way she tie at home. And the husband will also tie wrapper too. And the wrapper will not be tied so strong, so that any little thing, both wrappers will give way. But in these days, the young generation, like we now, there's a lot of this romance, the attitude and all these things. Sometimes, you see, I can't remember telling my wife I want this, and I can't remember like when we are, when we are still young and all this thing, when you are expecting your girl to, we are expecting your babe to come to the house, you prepare within you, you know what you want. And even when the lady comes to your house, you don't say it. Technically, your action and preparedness and everything tells you what she wants. Both of you knows that. The same thing when you come to your marriage. When a woman needs something like that, some women communicate by, honey, when are you coming back home? How soon are you coming? I have prepared your best soup. I have done this. I have done that. When the moment you come, he prepares your water, prepares this thing. And when she's preparing that, she's not the type, if she's the type that wear nightwear that covers, maybe that day she's going to wear one sexy one. So deliberately, you're just looking at her, you're just
already.
Exactly. So for a woman, that's the way she will be communicating her own message. You understand what I'm saying? And by the time she does that, you now see the man getting uncomfortable and all these things. Just somehow. And sometimes she might just wake up, in the morning, just dress anyhow, just dress something that will just make you look for your trouble or something like that. She might just come behind you and hug you from the back. Just do one thing or the other. What's she trying to say? Just to tell you she needed it. She really needs this.
Thank you very much.
And to the time of the man will not also say, I want this. The man will just come, play, either massage your leg or touch you or say one thing or the other. Before you know it, everybody understands. It's a natural thing. It's a natural thing that don't even need to say.
Thank you very much. That goes back to what Big Chief said. If your foundation is right and if you are really, really into yourself, you will understand your love language and then you know how you communicate with each other and there won't be a problem. And in the sense where there is a problem, there is an issue, you need to go back to the drawing board. Find your way back to, okay, how was it before? What went wrong? Talk about it. Before you go to the point of therapy, you can solve a lot of problem by just talking about it yourself. Ask questions, express yourself, and be free. If you have problem expressing yourself to your wife or your husband, that is another problem again.
Yeah, therapy. I don't believe in therapy when you have to go to a certain office and book appointment. I feel that so long as you're talking to a third party, then there's something wrong with two of you. I'm sleeping on the same bed with you. I should be able to talk with you. Once I cannot talk with you, there's something wrong. Or even if it's a male friend, I have a friend and I cannot express myself completely to that guy that this is wrong or there's soup, there's a leaf on your teeth or something, then that's not my friend. So it is simple, but we have overcomplicated it with different cultures because the world is a global village now. My brother
something you said a couple of weeks ago that most of the problem we even have in marriage now has to do with Hollywood.
Yes,
romance, a lot of the way
even the word romance we use, we don't even know what it means. You've not seen it. Romance is actually a Spanish. They didn't have television in those days, so they act theater like Shakespeare and the rest. And it's for you to get audience, you have to make believe, you have to exaggerate what they're acting. You understand? So just like Romeo and Juliet, one will not drink poison, the other will not drink poison, and all sorts of crap. Those things are exaggerated. So now we are trying to replicate that exaggerated life. If you have to do all this romance, like everything we've talked about this evening, we're not talking about economy. If the man does not have house rent, his body will not move.
Chai.
You cannot. When one of my friends bought a house and he lost his job after he bought the house, when we sat down Beer Parlour has more truth than church because all of us meet for there. Now, the first question when he complained about he's lost his job and he's just bought an expensive house, the first person that spoke, I said, how do you sustain erection? It doesn't work like that. The man will not have all that trouble and his body is doing romance. It doesn't work like that with this recession. And Tinubu is working there. So the mills and bonds, those things we read, doesn't.
Sorry.
I'm sorry to say, in the woman's brain, yeah, that's why women like what they hear. Those things are close to reality. In the man's brain, it's different. When I was in the university, you want to go to girls' hostel, the man might borrow the shirt from block 1 and borrow the sandal from block 4 and take perfume from block 6, and he goes there to create that fantasy. But in reality, when you're living on your own, if you don't have perfume, you don't have perfume. If you don't have soap, you don't have soap. If you don't have food, you don't have food. You see what I'm saying? And now she's seeing you in your lowest form. So her brain is like, Abi, I make mistake. You know?
Carry go, carry
you,
go.
you are seeing her in her lowest form too, because when she comes outside, she has drawn things on her face and tie on her belly and everything.
Yeah,
You go,
exactly. She
you're
package
seeing
come.
everything. So your brain has to be calculating every time to balance this equation. We have to be truthful to people out there and the younger generation that this thing is intentional calculation and intentional actions you take. There is no butterfly that will fly in your stomach. That butterfly doesn't exist. You have to take decisions as a grown-up adult and say, look, I must provide for this woman. I must protect this woman. I must protect these kids. I must make sure we are okay. I must try to, and the woman on her own will say, this guy is fighting the world for me. You don't know if he's fighting an elephant, a lion, a tiger, or he's fighting with a dog before he comes. So I must make sure the home is okay. Those are intentional things we need to do.
Very, very intentional. Very, very intentional.
Yeah.
So
Big Chief.
has to be very intentional, really.
Yeah, Big Chief, you are right. You know, when people talk about go for therapy, my question is, what is therapy without communication? Because if you go to meet somebody that claims that a therapist can't do anything if you can't talk to them.
The therapist will not give your wife permission to sleep with you or your husband permission to sleep with you. The therapist have his own problem at home.
He has his own problem as well because therapy is all about communication. It's all about communication. Because even the therapist, you still need to communicate to the therapist.
Yeah. But John, go and take chilled coke on my behalf, please.
Okay.
Now, my question is this. Pastor Stephen, thanks for joining, sir. God bless you. Desmond, God bless you for the likes. Wow. Let's keep liking, please, people. Thank you all. True Christ Wonderful Church. Thank you for joining. Wow, CEO, I've got a lot of people here. God bless you all. God bless you. Really good. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you. Now, I'm going this other question again, which is couples who are having problem, especially with the female gender that complains about this. That is, actually, there was one I read on Facebook recently where the woman said, I think after 1 month of marriage, and she said she's divorcing the husband because he's demanding for too much sex and that she cannot handle it. So how do we deal with that? Is there a limit to how many sex you can demand for? Or
it is real simple, madam. If you take your BMW to a Mercedes-Benz garage to fix it, they won't have the parts. We are taking other people's culture. Our ancestors have many wives. If she cannot, you don't want him to marry another woman, you don't want him to do. So what do you want? Let him take another one. If it's African, if it's Japanese, it's a different thing. If it's Korean, if it's African, let him take another one. In short, in my place, women were marrying women for their husbands. So we are taking Western culture to judge ourselves. We will fail.
you have to help me before you come and kill me.
Yes. Women marry the other women for their husband.
But then in these days, is that a possibility? Is that a possibility?
Yeah.
I will not agree. We cannot make another wife, so it can happen.
No. I think number one, we should learn this. When our children are getting married, we should let them know that a man does not want sex. Rather, a man needs sex. And the Bible said that God will supply all our needs according to his riches in glory. So part of our need is that sex. So you can't say, you know fully well that going into it, you must give it. If you know you are not going to take it, then why are you going into it? Because you know it's part of our need. It's not part of what we want. It's plain and simple.
You know,
it's plain and simple.
In the Western culture, a woman can sue her husband that he raped her. Mm-hmm. In the African culture, the brain doesn't understand that. That is part of the contract we signed. You see what I'm saying? So we cannot say that one will say these days and in those days and the rest. I know what I'm saying is a little bit awkward. We cannot think that we are smarter than the people that have lived for 7,000 years, make try and error and come up with this style. It might not be perfect, but this is what they say they want to do. Then we just come in. This is our modern day with our technology and social media, and be telling you this and telling you that, and we are all in trouble. We have the highest rate of divorce rate in the history of humankind. We have the highest rate of single parents in the history of humankind. We have, I don't want to say bastard, but that is what we have everywhere. We call it different names: cohabiting, co-parenting, this thing, blended, for all sorts of, it's just names. In those days, they have settled the matter. There are some people who are designed for more than one wife. There are some people who are designed for one wife. So that man that is a firing machine, and you now give him one woman, he truly will rugged the woman. The woman will not have space to breathe.
So the solution would have been either, well, I don't know how they didn't talk about it, or they didn't share.
They know. These days they sleep before they marry. They know. These days, it's not in those days that you come, everybody will be pure.
They with each other before they got married. Why is she not complaining after marriage?
That's what I'm saying. We are crying about the obvious.
Unless maybe there are other things and she's just using that as an excuse, which doesn't.
That's another point. See, we cannot be smart. The orange seed cannot be telling the orange that I'm more of an, it came from the orange. And the orange itself cannot tell the orange tree that I can do without you. We are all connected. We are all connected. We cannot think that we are smart. I've seen, we go to me, I'm still on the road. So I've seen people who think that, oh, they can do it more than their father till they get married. They say, oh, boy, this is no easy.
Before you come back, deal with bills, deal with everything, you're already tired thinking about that.
Yes, the amount of bills you have to pay and the lifestyle and everything. Some men go out in the morning, they come in the night with nothing, come back in the night with nothing. As in, they do it 1 week straight, nothing come back with you. And they still have the courage to go out again. So how will you come and tell that man, let's hold our hands and walk in the garden? And I was in the office the other day. My colleague was saying he's planning his 25th wedding anniversary in Maldives. And I smiled as an African child. My next door neighbor cannot even go to Shomolu, to restaurant. And we're comparing these two men. You see what I'm saying? Because we compare what we see on TV and we don't compare their resources and their privileges.
Thank you very much. A woman was asking me a question that how, let me read it before I say nonsense. Does getting married means your husband can have sex with you anytime? Pastor Stephen, do you want to help me with this? Does getting married means your husband can have sex with you anytime? Pastor,
I think it is not. Can I go on?
Go on. Pastor, after.
You see, I think there's a place in the Bible where the Bible talks about we shall not deprive each other of our body. So it's scriptural. So even to the extent that for the man to start fasting, he must seek permission from the wife. And if the wife said no, he cannot even continue with that fasting. Likewise, the wife have no right to just wake up one day that the pastor say, or God said I should fast for 10 days or for 1 month or thereabout. Without first and foremost, take permission. And I do tell people, if you are fasting, even when the husband or wife have given you permission, if you are fasting and your wife says to you, I must have this in today, my brother, my sister, it's not a sin. Stop and attend to that, because that is more important than the fasting you are doing.
If your fasting might also be affected, your prayer might be affected.
No, it will not be affected. God understands that. No, that is why
attend to your partner. If you do not attend to your partner, you continue your fasting. If you ignore, your fasting might be affected.
Yes, of course. Your prayer will not be answered. So God understands that. God understands the power behind that. That is why he said, no, for no reason you should not deny each other your body.
So anytime, if it's morning, afternoon, night, anytime, it's gas,
from it.
God bless
Yes,
you.
he said submit yourself to one another.
But then
That's the first submission.
before I say my own, Pastor Stephen, sir, God bless you, sir.
Well, my brother's just said it there. You know, he said it. We're not to deprive each other. End of story. You know, and you're not to deprive each other. One, two. It's part of what we sign up for. It's part of what we sign up for. If we're going to start making excuses and this and that, then again, one is not understanding the priorities. Having said that, let's put a bit of balance into the conversation in terms of I don't think any man of his worth that has to look after the responsibility of his wife, of his children, of business, of a livelihood is going to be, up there every 2-3 minutes saying, yeah, come on, baby, let's get it on. Every, like 2-3 times a day or something like that. If a man's that, listen, when you're 20, 25, up to 30, you don't have kids, you're good to go any given time. This is part of what the joy of being married is all about. This is part of the fun of it. So, but when you then get into that age of responsibility where you've now had kids, it's a natural progression and it might not be as, as often as possible, but you to make an excuse that no, it's too much, Oh, hello. This is part of, I heard of a couple. That I think they've been married about 40 plus years. 40 plus years. And they both confirmed that they have sex twice a week. Every week from when they got married. They understand the assignment. That is part of the assignment. Let's not be delusional about this. If the man is good to go in that respect, unless, of course, there's some other thing going on for the wife, you should not deprive your man, because that's one of the easiest things to drive a man to go outside and look for what we've been talking about all in the past, the side chicks. If he's getting it and he's getting it good at home, essentially he shouldn't really be looking outside. If the last thing he has is a good look at his beautiful queen before he leaves home, and he gets a boner before he leaves home, and the first, and he's got, and that's the last thing he sees before he goes to work, bang, and then when he comes home and yeah, that's my take. But you shouldn't look at it that all he's going to do is have sex. No. That's not what we're cut out about. Because once we get into that place where we start having responsibility, looking after you, the wife that we're having that sex with, and looking after the children, looking after the bills, I don't think anybody in their real capable minds is able to say, look, all I want to do is have sex 3, 4, 5 times a week.
Thank you very much. God bless you, sir. I'll just add one more thing to it is understanding each other, understanding each other's strength, each other's temperament, understanding when your wife is tired, and even though you feel like, and just be understanding, like, okay, I'll just let you go today. She's really tired, be compassionate, be empathetic with each other. That goes a long way. But when your woman is really tired and you don't give a damn, you just want to have your way, that is where resentment begins to come in and other issues begin to come in, and she begins to detest having sex with you. So let us be very, very considerate. Now, I'm going to end tonight's topic with this question. I've got 2 questions actually that I like to talk about. How do we approach consent boundaries in sexual encounters? Do we have anything like that in marriage? From what we just said, I don't think that makes sense. Is there anything like consent and boundaries in marriage? Men, help me out. Is there anything? Women, Mommy Antonia, where are you? Been quiet since? Where are you? Is there anything like consent and boundaries?
As in boundaries in marriage?
Yes. Or consent.
Boundaries in what?
Related sex, innit?
You see, the Bible made it clear. It said, a man shall leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, even though the Bible did not say the woman should also leave his father and mother, even though it's not well spelled there. Because when the Bible is saying a man, it means plus the woman, both of them must leave. Because if two of them fail to leave their parents, cleaving will become problematic. Now, when they cleave and they become one, the question now is this: do I need a consent of myself to eat? The answer is no. I'm hungry, I'm hungry. Because both of us are one. One consent, what boundaries am I going to set? Because this is me. Except we are not talking about setting boundary as per the kind of friends and all these things.
No.
Having consent to, you understand? But between our bodies, there is no consent. There is no, even though that the law has manipulated the whole, a human being has put a law manipulating the thing. But in terms of the Bible, there is no consent for anything in terms of marriage, because both of you are one.
Thank you very much. That was a beautiful answer. Does anybody have addition or any different opinion on TikTok, Facebook, and Zoom before we wrap it up? Okay. I think it's been a beautiful night. And I'm just going to summarize all of this on the sexual health, sexual well-being. Let us look after ourselves as a male or a female. Look after your body. Because the first thing we see that will attract us is the physical body. So if there's something wrong with the way you dress up, the way you do your hair, the way you smell, it puts your partner off. It is important that you look after your hygiene. Your mouth, everybody have mouth odors. Sometimes for some people it's stronger than the other. And a lot of people, when you wake up in the morning, some people have a strong mouth odor. And some people it's not that bad. Even you can still get on with it without brushing in the morning. It's okay. So you understand each other. And clean shave. I mean, when your wife, before you go married, you try to impress your wife, you do a clean shave, you do your nice haircut, you're looking smart and sharp. It matters a lot, even after marriage. Same thing for the woman. Your hair needs to be nice, not stinking, not smelly, or not so oily or greasy. We are different. We're all unique. You need to understand your partner. It's very, very important. What turns them on and what turns them off. You cannot be shy about those things. You need to talk about it. Even when you feel I might offend her, I might offend him, she might not like it, find a nice way you're going to say it. And there is no nice way to say it. Say it and then be apologetic. I'm sorry, but I have to tell you this. I love you so much, but there is a but. Talk about the but. Express yourself to one another. Okay? And clothes also matter, what you put on. There are clothes your wife will put on, you'll be like, yeah, babe, go on, that's it. Say also for the man. Don't think I'm a man, I can just put on anything. No, you can't just put on anything. You need to look good for your wife. Look good for yourself, for your wife. So appear.
Yeah, but sorry, man. It's also important. Sometimes when we complain about some certain things, the easiest way to make your spouse understand, you can go out of your way to buy that roll-on, buy that perfume and say, use this. Buy whatever you think that will stop the mouth odor, buy it. Don't start complaining all the time. If your wife doesn't know how to, sometimes go to market and buy those things and give to her and show her how to do it. Not by just complain.
Yes. Okay. Complaining one, and then talking about it. Complaining and talking about it are two different things. And then also going the extra mile of buying it. That's the third one, which is also very good and saves a lot of hassles anyway. And even after you buy it, some people might still not use it. And you'll be like, you have so many perfumes, you have so many roll-on, what's going on? You're not using them. I've seen somebody where the wife changed all her wardrobe. New clothes, the kind of thing he likes her to put on. She won't wear them. She'll say, no, that is too loose, that is too tight, that is too short, that is too revealing, because different orientation. So it might not be enough just to buy. It might be that you need to reorientate, and it takes a while. It's not going to happen just like that. We have to be patient with one another. And then while we're talking about all these things, let's also remember our children and begin to educate them with their appearance, apart from what they are teaching them in school or what they are learning on the internet or social media. Let us also educate them, about wellness, well-being, about their sexuality, what they should accept, what they should not accept. And depending on their age, as they grow up, we increase the volume of what we're teaching them. It gets to a certain age where you'll be able to talk about the emotional part of it, the physical part of it, and how do you respond to your girlfriend, how do you respond to your wife, how do you respond to your husband. As parents, let us not be shy to discuss these things with them. Actually, they might not be comfortable, like, Mom, I don't want to talk about that. What are you doing? You still have to talk about it. They don't have to like it, And then it depends on how the rapport you also build with the children. There's nothing they will not be able to talk to you about.
Yeah, I call that place on.
There's nothing they will not be able to talk about, because while you've built a rapport where you have a round table and you can talk about anything, and that goes a long way. Now, whatever problem or challenges we are having as adults, we don't want our children to have it. So let's work on our children to change the narratives and for a better future. Thank you all for joining. It's been a wonderful night. Thank you so much, Sister Christine. God bless you, really good. Even though you cannot come up to talk, but your finger is firing away. God bless you, Pastor Bimbo. Thanks for joining. For everyone on TikTok, wow, too many names to mention. Thank you all on Zoom. Sister Kemi, thank you for joining. You've been very quiet tonight. Mama Antonia, Brother John, Pastor Stephen, Big Chief, and everyone else that's been in and out. Thank you so much. God bless you, ma. Facebook people, now do well. Thank you, ma. You're always happy. You won't come out and talk. One day, God will arrest you. Mommy Albert said, thanks for joining me. Glorious call, Brother Alex. Everybody, it's been a wonderful night. Until in 2 weeks' time, we'll come back again, and then we'll keep talking, and hopefully we'll be learning, and then there'll be some changes and adjustments somewhere. Good night, all.